Hey, hello, Sui. Very good, very good. Uh, so I don't know. Uh, okay, can you see me well? Hmm. Yes. Let me do the same because I'm having problems lately with my uh, internet connection and Teams and WebEx. So yes. Okay, so I got your questions on AMD helios rack, right? Ming. So we would like to talk about the innovation of Helios AI rack, the value proposition, and deep dive a little bit on the characteristics, right, of why AMD has made this movement. And this is a very interesting discussion because they are doing an interesting bet on the infrastructure, trying to compete with not Blackwell, but the Rubin and the Rubin Ultra, and trying to anticipate to what will happen next year. So I try to, I have this, as usual, I created some tables and some slides so we can, so you have clear understanding of my research on that topic. So basically, these are the high level statements, right? The most important thing that you need to remember is that they try to compete against Grace Blackwell. It will be launched in 2026, but the main difference is the memory and bandwidth, right? So basically, it's double the memory capacity of a NVIDIA system, 31 terabytes on the rack versus 13 terabytes, and the bandwidth, as we will see in the tables later on. So this is one differentiator. The second differentiator is the open standards, right? As you rightly said and know, AMD Helios is based on the UALink Ultra Ethernet Consortium and the open ecosystem, while the NVIDIA solution relies on their NVLink, InfiniBand, proprietary solutions, right? So they are betting hard with the open multi-vendor ecosystem. Then the timing, right? The timing is also important because they are trying to compete with Blackwell and Robin next year, right? 2026 is the year that the NVIDIA will launch a Robin platform, and there are some challenges for AMD, right in here because as we this is based on a state-of-the-art technology in the CPU, the GPU, and the NIC card, right, and the accelerators. So the problem is that if they don't deliver in the silicon roadmap, right, they could face challenges with the existing NVIDIA platforms that that they have very aggressive roadmap, because they have products in the market every year, right? So if you look at the NVIDIA roadmap, I think I have it here. Here we have, right? So they plan 2024 Blackwell, 2025 Blackwell Ultra at the end of the 2026. It will be better Rubin, Rubin Ultra, and then FEMA 2028. So we are talking about a platform that will launch here, competing with Blackwell at full scale, right? and the Rubin, and at the end of the day, the year, Rubin Ultra, right? So there will be an overlap of Blackwell Ultra, Rubin, Blackwell platforms for these rack solutions. So let's go back to this. So the time is as I say, it's a time arbitrage strategy, right? Because they try to capture customers that are in demand of high memory and offering next generation exascale computing now, right? Trying to anticipate to NVIDIA next moves, right? And there is a question mark, right? Here, question mark if the market will be adopting this, or it will be reluctant to the adoption. And part of this is the software ecosystem, and I will discuss a little bit. But this is the high level, right? I think I shared with you already these tables, right? So you have the architecture. You said about the OCP dual link, right? Sorry, the double wide. So it's based on OCP compliant reference designs, right? So this is backed by hyperscalers like AWS, Meta. This is backed also by OpenAI. So these are strong companies that are backing up this design, right? The reason of the double wide is an engineering decision, right? That is a trade-off. So on one side, you reduce the density. So if you compare to the Blackwell, both are 72 GPUs, right? But this is 72 GPUs in a double wide. So the power requirements are half, right? So the power per square meter is lower, and this is apparently some of the customers, right, were complaining about this extreme high density of the NVIDIA racks mandate the liquid cooling, of course. About 40 kilowatts of consumption is liquid cooling, and we are talking about here around 180 kilowatts in this AMD rack in the maximum configuration. So it will be liquid cooling, but lower density. So lower density means that it can be the infrastructure cost can be reduced, right? Because the cooling and power infrastructure can be spread over a larger surface and can be less complex, right? And this could be also implying less radical overhaul of the data centers compared to the super high density designs, right? So my take on this is that there are conversations with AMD and the hyperscalers, and first OCP is the bet for open standard, and second the double wide to reduce engineering costs, right? So these are the two reasons. On the CPU, right? It's a 256 core, and the latest Venice AMD EPYC core that has enough room to power the whole rack and the 72 GPUs. The NICs is the next generation Vulcano NICs is Ultra Ethernet 800G connectivities, right? So it's following the open standard Ultra Ethernet Consortium standards again, right? And the GPUs are connected with a scale-up fabric based on Ultra Accelerator Link. This is again open standard, not proprietary as NVIDIA's, right? So the UA Link, it's an open alternative, as you know, for NVIDIA NVLink, allowing 1024 GPUs or devices in a single pod, right? So basically, it's doing the same thing. It's connecting all these GPUs as a single coherent GPUs, massive sharing memory and doing memory coherence, etc. Right? So it's very comparable and competitive with NVIDIA. And it's a consortium, right? It's a consortium of AMD, Intel, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Broadcom, Cisco. Everyone is trying to, and you know this very well, an strategic alliance, creating competitive pressure towards AMD NVLink. I think if I recall correctly, we had a call with about the Intel and NVIDIA movement on the acquisition. Sorry, not the acquisition. The investment of 5 billion in Intel. It was with you, Min, or my memory doesn't fall. Yes. So you remember that we discussed about the NVIDIA trying to push their NVLink technologies, and then that's the reason of behind this alliance with Intel, right? So the Intel CPU will support the NVLink in the future releases. Most probably, we will see soon designs in this direction, trying to strengthen the NVLink and InfiniBand ecosystem, because you have the Ultra Accelerator, UAC consortium, and UA-Link consortium on the in front with very powerful companies like AMD, Google, Microsoft. So, but at the end of the day, I think they are playing in every front, right? As you see in the NVIDIA, they have also Ethernet solutions, right, for some customers, a Spectrum solution. They have the InfiniBand and the NVLink solutions, but they have also the Ethernet and the DPUs in the roadmap. So I think, but of course, they want to protect their. In terms of the, I have other slides here with more details of the performance, right? What are the key? I think we go directly to this, because here you will see the important thing. So basically, I want to highlight the high memory bandwidth HBM4 compared to HBM3E or HBM4 in Rubin platform. So basically, they are offering high memory bandwidth memory. So basically, it's at end of 2026 when NVIDIA will catch up in the amount of memory, and not even at that front, because you see the massive per GPU of the MI400 is 432 gigabytes of memory in a single GPU. That's massive. If you compare to the Blackwell, is 192, right? So it's roughly 2 times the capacity, and even with the Rubin platform, so it's not really catching up with the amount of memory. So they are heavily invested on the memory, and as a consequence, I think the total memory capacity of the rack. Where is it? I don't have the memory capacity of the rack here. Here, 31 terabytes. I think the GB200 has 13 terabytes. So it's twice the capacity. And the bandwidth as well, right? The bandwidth is massive. So it's roughly more than 1.5 times the bandwidth of the GB200, right? So basically, with the Grace Blackwell, which is a 2025 product, this has double the capacity and the bandwidth compare, right? And also in paper, the exaflops, right? You add all the theoretical exaflops of the floating point performance per GPU is much higher. Note that with Rubin, they will catch up because Rubin is not a big leap in memory, but it's a big leap in compute, right? So it will be more exaflops in the Rubin platform than in the Grace platform. A note on the software, and this is what I wanted to tell you, right? I don't know if I have here on the platform on the software here. The Helios platform is basically built on the TCO promise, right? They say that it's more performance per dollar and more greater ecosystem flexibility because of the open standards, right? And avoiding the single vendor lock-in that NVIDIA poses with all this their stack. But I think a big question mark here on the software, right? The software, as you know, NVIDIA has the CUDA libraries, NVIDIA Enterprise AI, and so on, very mature software stack. And this is my concern about this, because I think that AMD has very, very hard position to beat NVIDIA's software stack. As we saw in the latest ML submissions, software optimizations alone accounted for more than 20-30% of the performance, right? So NVIDIA is very good in optimizing the software with using, for instance, NVIDIA Dynamo for inference and the sparsity and all the tricks and extremely clever optimization that they do with the software. On the other hand, ROCm is catching up. So it's good enough for more workloads, but it's not at the same level for advanced and highly optimized systems. The fact AMD recognized this and is offering the ROCm software for free. They don't charge like NVIDIA charges a very expensive enterprise license. They offer ROCm for free in there. So they are trying to break this gap and competitive disadvantage, right, by offering the software, but it's not only the software, right? These are the talent, the debugging, the advanced tools, etc. Right? It's not just the drivers of the GPUs. It's the whole stack and the whole tooling system that is very mature, right? So let's see in the coming years if ROCm try to close the gap, right? But it's not only the performance, as I said, is the talent, is the stability, is the ease of use, the tools, etc. Right? And the software is a huge concern, right? And the risk for this is that again, if you opt with to NVIDIA platform, you have a vendor lock-in, right? Here you have a higher risk on the production readiness, as I mentioned before, right? AMD has a tradition of being a little bit 6-9 months lag in product availability, and I think this one is based on 2 nanometer process. So this will be also any significant delays on the factories, on the foundries producing this, because these are the latest and greatest processes, and that means that the volume ships could be late in 2026 rather than the early 2026. So let's see how it plays, but these are the risks, right? On the, as I said here, uh, going with AMD also reduces the risk because you are betting on open standards, right? And I think I have here a set of recommendations for your company, right? My strong advice is that I'm a firm believer of open ecosystems and open source and open standards, right? So I like AMD position of going with the UA-Link, OCP, Ultra Ethernet Consortium. This open the play field for other players, right? Not just NVIDIA partners, right? Because these are, as I mentioned before, very big consortia. And so I think you are already doing it, some of this, right? But I think it's the right direction. Try to bet on this UA Link, Ultra Ethernet compliant hardware, right? Switches, NICs, etc., that could be integrated in this kind of solutions, right? And can be extending and interconnecting the different racks and pods, etc. Right? So AMD is partnering with Septi Systems, right? Septi Systems is a system integrator that is used to do advanced rack systems. So it's yeah. Sorry, say it again because it was breaking a little bit. Okay, okay. Uh, I, I missed that point, right? But this is a yes. Uh, Yeah, I don't know that, but I suspect that it will be the reason for the acquisition. I'm looking it up, right? And you are right, because the gap that AMD has to focus on the core competencies, right? Core competencies for AMD are silicon design and software designed for their accelerators and so on. Now, as you can see, the compute unit has shifted from the pure accelerators, right, for the GPUs or CPUs to the whole rack system, right? So these are heavily integrated systems, the rack, that require a different competences, right? And that's the reason they acquired set system, because they need to fill this competence of system design and, and rack design that AMD didn't have, right? So I suspect that they need to combine their system design and rack level expertise of set system to produce an integrated solution. So I think it's a co-engineering design effort, but it's this external company that is probably doing the design of because they had the competence before. AMD is not designing racks and so on, right? So I think it's more for having this competence field inside the AMD company and have a trusted competence and design. It's not design partner because you are right now. It's part of the company, but it's an area of competence that it was not present in AMD's, right? So yes, yes, yeah. So first, hyperscalers, right? So it's a massive memory capacity. It's maybe a requirement only for doing training of massive state-of-the-art models. So it would be OpenAI, it would be Meta, it would be AWS, right? So this required the massive amount of memory and reduce the complexity of the software, because for AMD to catch up with the less memory, they have to do software optimizations to reduce the transit and the transfer of the data from the different memory tiers, right? If they don't have enough. And they've done a lot of this with the Dynamo platform. And if you see the Rubin platform, they also try to separate the different phases or stages of the inference, right, for pre-feed and decode. So bottom line, the high memory is mainly needed for training, right, more than inference, and or to serve massive models in inference with a lower latency, right? So I think it would be hyperscalers and enterprise customers, very but very big customers, right? It's not this is not for everyone, because this massive memory, not everyone require this massive memory capacity, right? So I would say that these are hyperscale cloud providers and large enterprise customers that require this training of massive models, right? That are sophisticated enough to enjoy the long-term benefits of this massive memory capacity, right? And also because of the vendor lock-in, right? So the hyperscalers, they are trying to reduce the vendor lock-in from NVIDIA. As you know, AWS is creating their own Trainium and Inferencia systems, Google the TPUs, and Azure as well with Maya and Cobalt. So they don't like having all the eggs in the same basket of NVIDIA, right? So trying to diversify the platforms is and the promise of this rack is also the TCO uh, performance per dollar, right? So it's not, as I mentioned, a lot of mm, uh, so as I mentioned before, is the TCO arguments are because of the power, design cheaper, of the software licenses, so the open standards. So all this builds on top of the AMD TCO argument, right? Let's see, because at the end of the day, for instance, the software, you could have lower barrier of entry with the software license for free, but if the software is not mature enough, you will spend more time debugging and fixing and trying to stabilize the platform. So at the end of the day, the TCO could go high, right? So, but this will not we will not know until they start deploying, right? What I see in other customers, as I mentioned, the ROCm is good enough for regular inference, regular training, etc., right? But if you are trying to do the largest and more complex AI models with this massive memory advantage, you will require to optimize and fine-tune the software layer, right? And this is where you can face unexpected costs, right? So I would say that only the hyperscalers and very high-level enterprise that have top skilled personnel can benefit from the truly from the TCO promise that AMD markets, right? So I have to jump, Ming, to another call. I will share with you these slides. I think I reused some of these from the previous calls, but you have as a reference, and we can have another call if you want to discuss more things, or send me more questions, and I can research a little bit more. Thank you. Have a good day. Sweet. Bye.